André Rieu is known worldwide as the King of Waltz, who brought classical music to millions of people. But what most fans don't know is that in 2010, at the height of his fame, he suddenly vanished from the stage, and nobody understood why. And today, at 75 years old, he's facing health challenges that threaten to end his career forever, while hiding a painful childhood secret he rarely talks about. His story begins on October 1st, 1949, in the Netherlands, where he was born as the third of 6 children into a family where love didn't exist and discipline was everything, with his father, André Sr., being a famous conductor who was respected by orchestras but incredibly cruel and harsh to his own children at home. André's house had no warmth or laughter, and his mother was particularly strict, caring only about grades and achievements while seeing children's imagination as useless and burdensome, and André later admitted, "My parents did not love me," which left deep scars that would affect him for his entire life. When teachers praised young André's artistic talent, his parents saw it as a problem instead of something to celebrate. But everything changed when he was 5 years old and met his first violin teacher, an 18-year-old woman who didn't scold or impose rules, but instead encouraged him to feel the music and find freedom in every note. Music became André's escape from his cold, loveless home. And while other children practiced scales mechanically, André discovered that the violin could express emotions and feelings he wasn't allowed to show at home. But when André became passionate about waltz music, his father became furious, shouting, "I didn't raise you to play waltzes," and trying to crush his son's dreams because he saw waltz as inferior music, not worthy of serious musicians. The breaking point came in 1968, when André was 19 years old, and brought home a woman named Marjorie, who he wanted to marry. But his mother became enraged and demanded that Marjorie leave immediately. So that night, André made a life-changing decision. He walked out of his parents' house and never returned. From that moment on, André's family became just an empty shell, because even though his parents were alive, they never attended any of his concerts, even after he became world famous. And while thousands of fans cheered for him, the absence of his parents remained an unhealed wound that sent him to therapy for many years. For André, the violin wasn't just an instrument, but a lifeline that gave him the recognition and love his family had denied him. And every time he played on stage, it was like opening a door to his own freedom. In 1978, after feeling trapped in traditional orchestras where everything was rigid and boring, André decided to create his own path by founding the Maastricht Salon Orchestra with just 12 young musicians who had no fancy costumes or big stages, but lots of enthusiasm and faith in bringing classical music to regular people. Behind every decision was Marjorie, his wife, who didn't appear on stage but managed everything behind the scenes, handling schedules, business matters, and even writing music arrangements while giving André the confidence to follow his dreams.
When André wanted to buy a rundown castle but worried about money, Marjorie simply said, "Sell more records," showing her practical vision for their future together. In 1987, André established the Johann Strauss Orchestra with the revolutionary goal of making classical music fun and accessible instead of stuffy and formal, replacing the traditional black tuxedos with colorful outfits and creating performances where audiences could clap, dance, and enjoy themselves instead of sitting in silence. The big breakthrough came in 1995 during the UEFA Champions League final in Vienna, when André's orchestra played on the soccer field, and something magical happened. Football fans who came for sports stopped cheering, started swaying to the music, and the tense sports atmosphere transformed into a celebration of beautiful melodies. After that night, André's music held the #1 spot in the Netherlands for 19 consecutive weeks, which was completely unprecedented for classical music, and suddenly albums were selling millions of copies worldwide. His success spread to Australia, where over 38,000 people attended a single performance in Melbourne, and 8 of the 10 best-selling DVDs in the country had his name on them, making him one of the few classical artists who could match the popularity of rock stars. However, not everyone was happy about André's success because traditional classical music snobs criticized his approach, with one conductor even calling his concerts musical pornography and complaining that art shouldn't be associated with joy or fun. But regular audiences loved him because he made them feel like classical music belonged to them, not just to wealthy people in fancy concert halls, and many elderly people cried while dancing with their families to his waltz melodies. Then in 2010, disaster struck when André was at the peak of his career. He contracted a virus that attacked the vestibular nerve in his inner ear, which controls balance, and suddenly the entire world started spinning around him constantly. For a violinist who needs to stand on stage and move gracefully, losing balance was devastating, and André had to cancel tours and stop countless performances, admitting for the first time in his life, "I can't," when he had always been known for his icon spirit. At 62 years old, André fell into chaos, bedridden and dizzy, with doctors only able to tell him to rest while conventional treatments brought no results, and his mental health deteriorated as he wondered if his career was over. The turning point came from an unexpected source. A fan in Australia who had suffered the same illness sent André a letter describing vestibular exercises that had helped them recover, and in desperation André tried these exercises and gradually began to improve. After many months away from the stage, André could stand again, at first wobbly, but then increasingly steady, and his return felt like being reborn, though the after effects remained and his balance would always be a permanent weakness. In 2016, another devastating blow hit when his longtime trombonist and close friend Ruud Merckx suffered a sudden cardiac arrest and died in his sleep while they were touring in England, and André was so grief-stricken that he immediately canceled performances in Nottingham, London, Birmingham, and Glasgow because the emotional pain was unbearable. André said his friend was like a brother, and even after returning to the stage, the absence was deeply felt by the entire orchestra. In 2019, André showed his incredible dedication when he performed despite having severe flu with high fever and exhaustion, smiling for audiences while those close to him knew he was battling illness with every note he played. The worst crisis came in March 2024 in Mexico City, where André was scheduled for 6 consecutive sold-out concerts. But after the second performance, everything went wrong because the high altitude, time zone changes, and flu combined to destroy his health. Rumors spread that backstage André was staggering, feverish, struggling to breathe, and losing focus, and he called his wife Marjorie, saying wearily, "I never want an opening day like this again." The remaining 4 concerts went on, but under extreme strain, leaving over 40,000 audience members dissatisfied and angry. And finally, the entire 125-member orchestra had to cut the tour short with tickets refunded, flights rerouted, and plans collapsed, which damaged not only André's health but also his reputation. After this crisis, everything changed because André's son Pierre took control of the touring schedule, making his father's health the top priority and asking before every concert, "Does father have enough strength to continue without risk?" Pierre watches his father constantly during performances and has the authority to stop a show immediately if he sees signs of fatigue, dizziness, or breathing problems. And backstage now includes mandatory rest time, medical supervision, and even oxygen tanks ready at hand. André's performance style has also changed with fewer energetic polkas that demand stamina and more slow waltzes and gentle ballads that create breathing space. And while audiences still love the concerts, behind the scenes every detail is controlled, drinking water on schedule, limiting encore numbers, and avoiding handshakes after performances to prevent exhaustion. The summer 2024 concerts in Maastricht still sold out as usual, but the reality was that pressure kept building and André's body kept sending alarming signals that couldn't be ignored forever. Despite these challenges, André hasn't stopped performing. And in 2020, when the pandemic forced all tours to stop, it became the longest period in his adult career away from the stage, giving him time to reflect on life and realize how deeply connected he was to his fans. When restrictions lifted, audiences came back larger and more enthusiastic than ever, proving that music remained the strongest bridge between André and millions of admirers worldwide. At 75 years old in 2025, André released a commemorative film called El Sueño Continúa, The Dream Continues, showing outstanding performances from his career, and his summer concert series in Maastricht still attracts nearly 150,000 spectators across 12 outdoor nights, generating massive economic benefits for hotels, restaurants, and tourism services in the city. New concerts have been announced for late 2025 and early 2026 in Europe and the Middle East, including Abu Dhabi, Cologne, and Frankfurt. Though some performances in the UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand had to be postponed for health reasons, with his team confirming André faced health issues but is striving to overcome them. In recent conversations, André and Pierre have discussed the possibility of organizing one final world tour on the largest scale ever, though no date or details have been announced. And if it happens, it will be the greatest challenge to health, endurance, and the bond between father and son. Today, André Rieu's story teaches us that behind every smile on stage lies a lifetime of pain from a loveless childhood, health battles that threaten to end everything, the loss of dear friends, and the constant struggle between passion for music and the limits of a human body that can't perform forever. Yet through it all, André chose to bring joy to millions of people even when his own life was filled with suffering, proving that sometimes the greatest artists are those who transform their pain into beauty for others. And at 75, he continues performing not for fame or money, but because music is the only thing that ever truly loved him back.